everyone. I'm Emily.
And I'm Scar.
And welcome back to another episode of the Cottage Horse podcast, where we get whimsical, wild, and whatever else every other Wednesday. We have an exciting episode for you today, so we hope you enjoy. Hello, friends.
Hello, hello, hello.
Ooh, so many hellos.
Yeah, I did 2 last time, and I was like, oh, I should probably, one-up it. So I did 3.
Now you have to keep going.
Oh, no.
Forever.
Okay. Sorry, I need to remember that. I'm going to forget. But I'll try. I'll try my best.
Good. I'm going to hold you to it. Dun, dun, dun. So, today, we're talking about books.
Just books. That's the
All
vibe.
books.
That's the vibe. Yeah, we're talking about every single book that's ever been written, and we're going to start alphabetically. So, here we go.
Well, how would you even...
No, I don't know. I wouldn't even know. I wouldn't even know how
what
to
would
begin.
even be the first book alphabetically ever?
I don't know.
That's gonna
It'd probably be like a kid's book. Well, it depends what you count as alphabetical, because it depends if you count alphabetical, if you go symbols first. Because I know sometimes when you search alphabetically, you go symbols, numbers, and then the alphabet, and then it'd be symbols first. So it depends what you count.
Oh.
If you do letters first, or you do the rest of the stuff. So I don't know. But it'd probably be because you'd also, it depends if you're counting kids' books, because something like ABCs would be up there. It's one of the earliest books because alphabetically. But then it depends if you're doing alphabetical by author. There's so many possibilities.
There are. All right. Well, that gives me a crisis. What we're actually talking about is just books we've read and enjoyed, books we're currently reading, books on our TBR, which stands for to be read, that kind of thing. So, Scar, what are you currently reading right now?
I'm currently reading Six of Crows, so what obviously has been made into a Netflix series, but I had not read it. I just finished reading the Shadow and Bone trilogy, so I've now moved on to the Six of Crows duology. I'm about halfway through the first book.
Exciting. Those are on my list to read at some point.
Yes. I've just finished reading, I was going through reading a lot of individual novels, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to sit down and read a series, and that was one of 2 main series that I have on my physical TBR, so I was like, oh, let's knock that out of the park. Because then I can actually watch the show as well. I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, that's fair. Although, you can... At Six of Crows, I think, you can actually watch Shadow and Bone, the show, without having read Six of Crows.
Yes, I think you can. I did look into it, but I was like, actually, I might as well I wanted to read all of the books together. I don't have the King of Scars duology, which obviously follows another character, so I wasn't too worried about that. But I wanted to finish all these 5 books, at least because it just covers, the universe as a whole.
Yeah, no, that's totally valid.
But yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it.
Good.
Yeah. What are you reading?
So I just finished The Stolen Heir by Holly Black, which is the first book in the duology that is also in the Folk of Air series.
Very many layers deep with that one.
There are, because it's the Folk of Air series, and there's a trilogy, which is The Cruel Prince, The Wicked King, and The Queen of Nothing. And then now she's also working on a duology in the same universe. So it's kind of like Shadow and Bone in that regard.
Yeah.
So I just finished that. I'm currently reading Mark of Athena, which is that the third one?
I can't see from my shelf. So potentially. My shelf, I actually can't.
No, it's the third, because I can't think of the first one, but the second one is Son of Neptune, and so then, this is the third one.
Yes, I think you're right. They're actually the only books that are actually obscured from my line of sight, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I've got to read them
actually,
as well.
No, I know for sure, because I just found mine on my shelf, and I can see the first 2, and then I know the third one is off, and then I see the last. Yeah. So yes, the third book. But I also low-key started reading the Crescent City series.
Oh, damn. Oh.
See, here's the thing with that. Okay, so I use the Libby app.
Oh, yes, yeah.
It's a library app. If you don't know, if it's a library app, it's an app that you can connect to your library and get ebooks. So I've read the ACOTAR series. I did not plan on reading Throne of Glass or Crescent City series, simply because it's too many damn books.
Yeah.
And I genuinely did not care. Listen, I liked ACOTAR. It was fine.
Yeah.
But it did not hit me hard enough that I'm like, yeah, I need to read them all. I was like, whatever, it's fine. And I knew that there were some, like, overlaps in the universe. Like, I knew there were some things. But I was like, I don't care. It's fine. Whatever. But then, the newest Crescent City book that's coming out, which I've already forgotten what it's called. House of something. They're all called House of something. I think it's something Flames. I don't know.
I wouldn't know.
Or Shadows. I don't know. Anyway, all fantasy titles sound the same at this point.
Oh, they are. They all mix together.
So there's like 12 different special editions, and like in one of the special editions, there is apparently a conversation between 2 characters from Agatar and 1 character from Crescent City, and that is enough overlap for me to be like, damn it, now I need to know what's happening.
Yeah.
So I put them on hold because I'm not going to buy them because I do not need to buy any more books. But Crescent City became available very fast, and you only have 2 weeks to read it, and I'm probably not going to finish it in time because I've heard Crescent City is one of the hardest ones to read. So we're going to try and read that. But I also, Foxglove just came out, so I need to read that as well. My TBR is so long. It's so messy.
Mine's so long as well. To be fair, like, I also read Akatar. Again, I thought it was fine. Like, I'm not someone who really reads many romance books. That's not really my style. But I heard it was, like, interesting, especially in the world building. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot because I don't think it's too far out of realms of what I currently read. So I was like, I could probably read this. And I did manage to finish them all very fast. I managed to read them, like, all 5 books within, like, a month, purely because getting on a 18-hour plane ride gives you a lot of free time. So I managed to power through them. But yeah, and then I found this video that popped up, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm actually thinking I might now, because just knowing the extent of the universe. But there was this video, and they have read every single book. Like, all the Akatar books, like, they've read everything, and they made a video essay on the entire timeline and character breakdowns of everything that happens in the series. And I'm like, honestly, maybe I should just watch that, and then I'll be and then I'll be in the know, and then I won't need to read because I don't know if I could do that. I'd have to read some very good, like, compelling reviews to be persuaded, I think, to give it a chance, which I know sounds mean, but it's not really my vibe. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I will say I've heard, I don't know about the Crescent City series. I've heard Throne of Glass is actually, like, the best one, so I'm kind of excited to read that one. I've also heard that there is, like, little to no smut, which, low-key, I like. That's a controversial take.
Yeah.
I'm not anti-smut. It's not, I'm not, like, a prude about it where it's like, that shouldn't be in books. I just genuinely don't care to read it. Like, Akatar wasn't bad. The second one, I can't remember what order they go in. Second one wasn't bad either. The third one started getting spicy. The fourth one, the little, like, Frost and Starlight. Is that one was Christmas one? Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was fine. But then we get to Nesta and Cassian, and it's just like, oh my god.
Oh, they were.
I can't do this anymore.
No. Yeah, I'm the same. Like, I don't mind it. I think it depends. Like, it depends for me if it's meaning, like, if it has a purpose. And, like, there were points in Akatar, especially, where I was like, this means something. This is like character bonding, and that sounds really cliche, but, like, it kind of was like, it makes sense to establish the dynamic that's being had here. But other times I'm like, okay, we get it. Like, you don't really need to, like, say it. You can kind of just imply it, which they did do quite well. But like you said, when it gets to the 5th book, it was very much like tell. And I'm like, okay, this is a little bit much for what I personally enjoy, because that's not the point of the book. Like, you know what you're getting into when you read some books and you're like, okay, you know this is just pure, like, smart. And that's fine. Like, if I'm going into a book knowing that, then it's a different type of thing. But when you're going into, like, a fantasy romance book, and obviously I know people were saying that it was quite mature, but, like, when it's, like, that intense, sometimes it takes away from, like, I forgot the plot because you're just reading about everything they're doing in the house, and I'm like, yeah, but what's actually going on? And you're like, oh, okay, this is a really important point, but it gets lost within that, and you're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Guess we'll go back to that. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah, so I liked the Akatar series. I think it was fun because I used to read a lot of fantasy growing up, and then I used to read a lot when I was younger, and then as I got older, I stopped having as much free time. But so I hadn't read fantasy in a really long time. Mm-hmm. I really like thriller, mystery.
That's what I do.
Type books. So I was reading a lot of those, but like when you read too many of those back to back, it's like they all start to kind of feel very similar. So it's kind of like I need something different. So finally I was like, you know what? Let's go with ACOTAR. Let's try it. And I think it did help kind of open up the world of fantasy to me. But now again, like I said earlier, like all the titles sound the same.
Oh, for sure.
All of the covers look the same. So it's like I'm actually quite picky about my fantasy novels. If I had to recommend a fantasy series, I would recommend the Folk of Air series. The Cruel Prince, top tier fucking book for me.
Oh damn! I'm gonna have to, that is on my TBR. Like I got so much as well. It's just like yeah. You recommended that to me earlier before. TBR, there's so many. I've recommended it to 2 people now, and both of them have absolutely loved it and are obsessed with it. So like that definitely boosts my ego. If you don't like it, it's okay. I'm not gonna stop being friends with you or anything. No, that's fine.
Actually, I hate recommending books to people for that reason.
No, so do I.
Everyone likes different things, and that's okay, and that's totally fine, but I hate recommending a book and then being like, I loved this book, it is so good, like, one of my favorite books ever, and then they read it and they're like, it was okay, and I'm like, am I a bad person?
It also just makes you feel like you aren't, like, this is the thing, like, I use, like, Storygraph to track, like, we both use Storygraph to track, like, most of what we read and stuff, and our mutual friend of the pod, Catherine, also uses Storygraph. Catherine leaves very extensive, like, well thought out literary reviews on all the books she reads, and I don't do that, basically because I just don't, sometimes, like, unless I feel very passionate, like, I won't really feel the need to leave a review, because it's just for me anyway, and, like, at the time, I'm like, there's certain books that I probably will, like, I'm planning on, like, annotating quite a lot of the classic literature books, that's, like, what I prefer to do, but, like, so Catherine has also read Shadow and Bone, and like when I was leaving my reviews, I'd like read Catherine's, and I'm like, wow, she's put like so much thought into it, and I'm just like, I enjoyed it, 4 stars.
No, seriously, I do not like analyze things heavily. Like it's like I either enjoyed it or I didn't.
Yeah.
So it's always hilarious too when I like finish a book and I'm like, wow, I think I'm gonna rate that 5 stars, and then I go look and it has like an average 3-star rating, and I'm like, was this a bad book? Because I really enjoyed this.
It depends on the book. That's why it's interesting. That's why I'm going back and reading a lot of classic literature, because like it's classic for a reason, right? But you've also got to take it into the context of reading it now. And there's like, I really love Dracula. That's a very diverse book. A lot of people don't enjoy that book. People are like, it's not the best classic literature, and I disagree. Some people absolutely like. There's so many things. Like I've recently finished 1984. The reviews on that are absolutely batshit. Like there's people out there being like, it's the best book to be ever written, and there's people like, I would literally wipe my ass with this book, and like that's the fun of it. Like that's what makes it fun, because everyone is so, as long as you're not being like mean about it, everyone does enjoy different things. Because for example as well, like Ready Player One is probably still one of my favorite books. Absolutely like kind of shambolic movie, just my opinion, but I remember when I would tell people that, they'd be like, oh, but it's not like very interesting. I'm like, yeah, but at the time of when I read it at like a young teen, that was like amazing to me, because it allowed me to like imagine this world, which is why the movie was such a letdown, because it told you what the universe was like, and it was like, that kind of sucked. But there are so many books where, like, for example as well, Catherine recommended me a book called Red Shirts, and she was like, I think you'll really enjoy it. And I was nervous, because I was like, oh, what if I don't like it? And I have to be like, oh, sorry, I didn't enjoy it, because that's like a bit embarrassing. And I didn't want to like upset anyone. But actually, like, genuinely, it's one of the only books on my Storygraph that I've 5-starred. But again, like, you read all the comments on it, and sometimes people are like, this is a pointless book, it's just the plot of Star Trek. And I'm like, no, you've missed the point. But then I'm like, I feel like I'm arguing with nothing. So I'm like, no, okay, if you don't get it, you don't get it, it's fine.
Yeah, I think, honestly, like, if you read to, like, you know, intensely analyze things, and that's what you enjoy, that's great for you. I don't. I read for escapism and vibes. Mm-hmm. So if I enjoyed myself and I like any of the characters, it's a 4 or 5-star book for me. Like, I rarely rate things under 4 stars. Because I don't really I'm a strong believer, if you're not vibing, don't finish the book.
Yes. Yeah.
I know some people are like, no, you have to complete a book if you started it. No. If you're not vibing, don't finish.
I try and get at least halfway through, because I think sometimes the second act is where things pick up. But like, I can't remember the last book I like didn't finish, because fortunately I'm very like particular. But like, yeah, I'm like, there's no point slugging on a book that you're not enjoying, because then you just kind of come out of it in a reading slump, and then you're just upset. It's like, what's the point?
There's also been times where like I've tried a book and been like, I think I'll enjoy this, but this is just not the right time to read
Yes,
this book. Like, you gotta come
exactly.
back to it later.
Yeah, I've got quite a lot of, like quite serious crime books that are on my TBR list, and, like, I really enjoy those. Like, I have, like, this author who does, like, I've read all of his books. I haven't read his last two, because I'm just not in the mood for, like, very hard-hitting things at the moment. I'm like, I need something a little bit more light-hearted and not, like, someone being brutally murdered, you know? Sometimes you just gotta be in the mood.
Yes.
It's not the vibe right now.
Yes, no, for sure. I'm just looking through my story graph to see, like, what I've even, like, read recently.
Yeah,
Because it's so funny that, like, I will read a book and be like, I actually saw a TikTok about this the other day where it's like, oh my gosh, this is such a great book. Oh, what's it about? No idea.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you a single thing. I know I enjoyed it. I cannot tell you anything about this plot.
This is my breakdown. So I've read this year so far, so I'm on my 30th book, so I've read 29 books so far this year. And this is purely because of ACOTAR, because it took up quite, and I also read all of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit, so this is why it's taken up so much. But my biggest genre is fantasy at 15 books, and then it's classics, then romance, then literary, young adult, mystery, horror, sci-fi, crime, short stories, dystopian, LGBTQ, and then play. Like, those are the genres that I've read so far. But over half is fantasy, which is not normally true. So it's quite interesting.
I've only read 7 books this year, sadly.
I mean, you've been
I had
busy.
a goal of 24, but yeah, unfortunately, having a baby ruins your life. No, I'm just kidding. It just takes up a lot of your time.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantasy is my highest, and then young adult, and then middle grade, which I'm assuming is the Heroes of Olympus series.
I was going to say, what is that? Middle grade. That's quite funny.
I'll click on it and see. Yep, The Son of Neptune. Okay. And then romance, and then literary. Aren't they all literary?
I think it depends if it's like, so my ones that I have in there is like The Great Gatsby 1984. So I think it's a lot of like what is considered like a classic. A lot of my classics fall into literary. I don't know what you've read that would fall into that category, but
it's Daisy Jones and the Six.
That's not what I would classify as literary, but okay, slightly, I guess. That is not what I thought you were going to say. I was going to be like, okay, interesting. I mean, sure, I guess. Sure.
Yeah, no,
I'm sure that'll be a classic in its own right in the future.
But yeah,
yeah, that's weird.
You know, we're doing our best. Like I said, I'm trying to read through some stuff right now. I'm very excited, though, because the second book of the Stolen Heir duology comes out in March, and I can't wait.
Ooh. Yeah,
but I also need
Richard
to read...
Osman's, like, there's loads of books that are, like, coming out from authors that I'm, like, fans of, and I'm like, damn it.
Yeah.
A vibe.
So, like I said, I just got Foxglove, which is the second book to Belladonna by Adeline Grace.
Ooh.
Belladonna was really good. I enjoyed that, so I'm excited to read Foxglove. Except, okay, this is gonna be a gripe, okay? I'm angry at any of you in the UK right now.
Okay.
Because Belladonna and Foxglove have much prettier covers in the UK than they do in America. And I need them. I own them digitally, but I need the physical copies. And they're beautiful. The US covers, they're fine. But I need the UK one.
No, there are so many covers where, like, you see it and I'm like, oh my god, that's such a nice colour. And then, like, cover, and I look it up on, like, Waterstones and I'm like, oh, not for me then. And it's like, damn it. It's like, damn it, for real.
Speaking of covers, I don't know if you've seen all over TikTok, Masters of Death, that book that's going
on.
Oh,
yes, I have, yeah.
I literally picked it up at the store, and I almost bought it, and then I was like, you do not need to buy more books. And now it's all over my For You page again, and I'm like, damn it, I want this book, because it's so pretty!
Yeah, it's like, unfair. I went into Waterstones the other day, because I wanted to pick up the cloth-bound version of Little Women, because it's, like, my next read on my classic literature reading. Like, my aim is to read all of the main classic lit books, so that's my next one. So I wanted to pick it up, because the Waterstones cloth-bound editions are, like, stunning. They're all, like, beautiful. But I walked in there, and they've I don't know if it is, it might be Penguin, but I don't want to say it is and it's not, but Agatha Christie's novels, like, they're doing all the covers for those as well, like, Waterstone editions, and they are stunning. Like, they are the most beautiful things I've ever seen. And, like, I was, like, gonna lose my mind. I was like, I'm coming here for, like, 2 books. I've come in here for Little Women and A House Moving Castle, and I need to leave. And I was just staring at the shelf, and I was like, was like, I need them all in my life. And I was like, no. Finish what you need to read first, and then. But I'm like, I'm just like, I can't wait to get on the Agatha Christie train. I'm so excited because like Waterstones have just got so many of them, and I'm like, yeah. There's like so many books that I went in there and I was like, oh my god, I've heard about that one. I'm like, I can't. I'll walk out with a whole trolley if I'm not careful. It's like, I just need to go.
When do you plan on reading Little Women?
So I need, literally, I think after I finish Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom, it's my next book.
Okay, because I also have Little Women, and I attempted to read it last year, and it's a long book.
It's long, yeah.
Didn't get through it, but we could do a buddy read.
That'd be so cute, because I'm planning on annotating it as well, so, like, I'm going to go through it a lot more, like, probably at a pace that would match both of us, because I'm a really fast reader, like, it's kind of bad. Like, I can, like, power through, like, people, like, it takes me an hour to read 100 pages, like, I read the first ACOTAR very fast on that plane. I was like, oh, this will take up, like, a good 4 hours. No, I was deceived. So I was like, damn, okay, so... Yeah, but I want to annotate all my classic literature books, so I've got, like, stuff. So I was like, I would like to do that. I feel like it'd be fun to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we could do that. That'd be cute. It'd be fun. And we can, like, leave little comments being like, oh, God, tea.
Yeah, I got through part of it, but I did not finish it. My copy is also really pretty. I don't remember which copy I got, because it's like a specialty copy as well.
Yeah, there is some really, like, some of the special edition books that you get, not even just like for the classic literatures, but like for like big books are just like unreal. Like it's like all the Hunger Games, like I have my Hunger Games books from when I was growing up, but the new ones that have come out, I'm like, you're kidding, like these are so gorgeous.
Those are a UK exclusive, and I hate you all for it. No, I need them.
They are so cute, because I literally have a lot of the books like that, like the Hunger Games, Maze Runner and stuff like that. Like, they're original copies that I have from when I was growing up. So they're like, when they first came out. Like, so I'm really like, and that's really cool. Like, that's really exciting. They're like second, third editions. But like, I see all these new covers. I'm like, I don't need a second set of books of this. But I'm like, but they're so pretty. They're so cute.
Yeah, no. Also, I looked it up. I got the Puffin and Bloom.
Oh, yes, I have seen that one.
Version of Little Women. They have a bunch of really, really pretty ones that I really like. But it's funny that you mentioned, like, not needing duplicate copies, because first off, I am so upset that Litjoy Crate did a box set for the Folk of Air series that I did not get my hands on, and they are the prettiest books I've ever seen in my life. And they are, like, annotated by the author. They have gorgeous fan art. Would literally... sell my soul to have these, and I can't. And so it makes me deeply upset. However, there is a version of The Cruel Prince, which is the first book in the series, like a special edition that's coming out, and I bought it. I pre-ordered it.
I mean, why not?
I don't need it, and I'm sure the other ones are going to come out. They're collector's editions. I will get the other ones. But they also have some fan art in them. It's a completely black. They've got sprayed edges. Like,
ooh, love a good sprayed edges.
I'm so excited.
Love a good sprayed edges. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I've realized as well where it's like there's like collecting and reading books are two separate hobbies, and I'm a part of both of them. And it's quite sad, because like there are so many for example as well, like I have been looking for Normal People, but like a very specific cover that I know exists in the UK. Like, it is a UK cover, but for the life of me, none of them have it. And I even went into Waterstones being like, do you have this cover? And showed the woman the picture, and she was looking at me like I was like insane. I'm like, I need this cover though, because the other one is just not it. Like, it's just not cute. I'm like, I need this one, please. But
yeah, like, I'm not saying
no.
Like, I know don't judge a book by its cover, but like, they look better on my shelf if they have pretty covers.
Yeah, I'm like, I want it to be like, my bookshelf is a statement piece. Like, I want it to be like, I have very ambitious plans for having a very cool, like, Beauty and the Beast bookshelf wall in a future home. So I need to have all my books be cute.
Yes. Like, I actually, I read all of the Percy Jackson books via the Libby app. But then I bought them because I was like, I kind of want copies. And there are not pretty versions of the Percy Jackson
they're not. They're
series.
ugly books.
And I was so sad. Actually, though, I will say the Percy Jackson is better than the Heroes of Olympus.
Yeah,
the Heroes of Olympus might be the ugliest books.
No, they are grim. Like, I could, because also what's annoying about them is they're so big, like they're so chunky, so they take up so much space, which is fine, like whatever. But there's 5 of them, so it's like intense. And obviously, I wanted to put them next to Percy Jackson, so like, so I just have this corner of my bookshelf that is just like murky. I'm like,
yes.
Like, at least the Percy Jackson spines are okay, but, like...
Yes.
The Heroes of Olympus just looks not right. And I'm like, I put stuff in front of it to try and cover it.
They look like ugly movie covers.
No, they just...
Like, you know the movie cover versions
I
of
don't
books?
know.
Like, that's what they look like.
I'm like, why... and this is the annoying thing, because I was speaking to my friend about this, because she was like, I've never read Percy Jackson, and I was like, no, you should read it, I think you'd like it, because it just, like, matches kind of other stuff that she's read, and things like that. And I was like, no, I think you'd enjoy it, and I was like to her, I never read it when I was a kid, but I did read it for the first time, like, during COVID, so, like, 2 years ago, and I really enjoyed it, even as an adult, so I don't think that matters. And she was saying about the show, and she's like, I want to read it before the show, and I was like, yeah, of course, and I have it with every inch of my being that they're gonna release new covers for when it comes out on Disney Plus. For sure.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna republish it. And I know those covers are gonna be nicer, and I'm gonna scream.
Okay, hold on. I was looking up when Heroes of Olympus came out, because I was curious, because I was pretty sure of when they came out, because they do scream just, like, mid-2000s.
Oh, for sure,
or, like,
yeah.
you know, late 2000s. However, I have found the most gorgeous copy of the Heroes of Olympus.
No.
And they're $185. And they also have a Percy Jackson. Like, they're not pretty, but they're, like... I'll just send you the link, because it's going to be easier. Because, like, they are so much more minimalistic. However, they would only look good together. It's one of those where, like...
Yeah, I know what you mean. Because there are some book covers where I'm like, this is genius, but, like, it doesn't look right. On, like, when you've, like, put it on a shelf with other stuff, it just looks weird. And, like, I've organised my bookshelf, and I'm sure I'll probably reorganise it when I get more books. But, like, I've organised mine into, like, categories. So I have all my, like, true crime and mystery on a bottom shelf. Then I have, like, a lot of my fantasy, so, like, Percy Jackson, Shadow and Bone, Noughts and Crosses and stuff on, like, another shelf. Hunger Games and whatnot. And then, like, my classics and my comics and, like, Zelda books elsewhere. So they're all, like, grouped together, and I'm like... But if I got, like, for example, Yellowface, which I want to read, I'm like, that's going to look so obnoxiously ugly on my bookshelf. Because it's just bright yellow. I'm like, what am I going to do with that? Also, those books are nice, but, like, yeah, but they have to be together, otherwise it looks weird.
Yeah, I just like the, like, minimalistic look and, like, the colors.
I like the embellishing at the bottom, like the symbols. I think that's cute. Because, like you said, you can't actually tell which ones, like... I know they have, like, the titles and the numbers on the side of them, but you can't actually tell which one's which from a glance. But that actually makes it easier to tell. But that'd be too easy.
I see my bookshelf, like... as I've gotten older and I have real money, I've gotten more into, like, pretty copies of books.
Yes.
But, like, my bookshelf is still a mix of, like, my young years. Like, there's so many books that I read when I was, like, 13 that I just simply will not part with, because, like...
Oh, yeah, same.
They're part of me. And I almost feel like I need 2 bookshelves. Like, this is my childhood. Here's my adult.
No, I think I might do the same thing.
Because, like, I have the whole Maximum Ride series on my bookshelf. And if you don't know what that series is, don't ask. If you do know what that series is, I can feel your pain through the podcast.
Like, yeah, because, for example, you know, I still have these books, and it's one of those things where I look at them every time on my bookshelf, and, like, there's a part of me that's like, I don't know what to do with them, but I still have all my original, like, and I'm pretty sure my Philosopher's Stone, my Chamber of Secrets, and my Prisoner of Azkaban are all first edition books.
That's, okay, besides the fact that J.K. Rowling is a cunt and we don't like her, that is pretty impressive.
It's, like, it's so awesome, because, like, these are the books that I got read when I was a kid. Like, when I was, like, my mum would read them to me when I was, like, 5, 6, like, really young, like, when they first came out. And it's, like, it's so frustrating, because I'm like, I don't want them because of J.K. Rowling. Like, it's frustrating, but I'm like, I know they were brought so long ago, there's part of me that's like, I can't stand to see her name. But then I'm also like, they're so, like, meaningful to me growing up, and I'm like, I'm like,
I have actually 2 sets of Harry Potter. Neither of them are my original copies growing up. My original copies growing up literally fell apart.
Yeah, mine are old.
Read so many times.
Yeah.
So I was gifted a set a few years ago for my birthday, which I really like. It's a paperback set, and the spines make the Hogwarts castle, so, like, very pretty.
Oh, yeah.
And then I also have the hardcover. There are hardcover sets for each of the Hogwarts houses.
Yeah.
I have the Gryffindor set, that I got for free. I'm not even a Gryffindor, but I got the set for free. And I was like, yeah, I want it, like, just because it's a cool collector's edition. However, yes, I do not support J.K. Rowling in any regard. But I also think, like, it's such a hard line because Harry Potter was so huge to me growing up. Yeah. I do think that I'm going to read the books to my daughter. But I think I'm also going to, like, wait till she's a little bit older and we can have some of those conversations.
Yeah.
Of, like,
I think that's the thing, where it's like
critically talk about it.
Because I think that's the thing, like, one of my younger cousins, like, has started reading them, because he's at the age where he can, like, start reading fairly independently. Like, obviously he kind of still needs support, but, like, he can read basically on his own. And he had started reading them. And it's one of those things where it's like, that's not my place to have the conversation. And, like, I know that his parent, like, his mum is aware, like, she's not a fool, like, she's quite smart. And it's just one of those things where it's like, how do you do that in an ethically, like, in an ethical way? Because also, like, it's part of this thing where it's like, I know if I were to reread them, I'm coming at it from an angle of, like, I guess hatred in a way, which is kind of frustrating at the same time, because it's like, because I remember during COVID, like, people were doing this thing on TikTok where they were reading through the books again, and they were, like, providing evidence to some of the problematic nature, and I'm like, that's important. Like, it's important to come at it with that lens. And it's like, I know if I was going to reread them again, like, I need to be detached completely from the author, and it's just like, it hasn't happened yet because she lingers in my mind.
I think it's also, like, I think you have more of a personal, like, attachment to the hatred part of it, because she is directly affecting your country. I'm not saying America is great by any means when it comes to, like, issues with trans people and, like, that community. But, like, she is directly in the UK affecting the UK versus, like, we have our own problems of people, like, trying to kill trans people.
And it's one of those things as well.
It's not her fault.
It's one of those things as well where it's like, there's other authors who are, like, incredibly problematic, and one I would like to discuss. But she's incredibly problematic. But it's also the point is, like, some authors do it and they're silent about it, like, to the point where, like, they only do it in their books and they don't really talk about it. Like, they don't do anything outside of their writing that is necessarily problematic, which obviously is still important to discuss, but them as a person necessarily isn't, like, super vocal. But J.K. Rowling is so vocal about it as well. I'm like, bestie, shut up! Like, it's one thing to have very problematic things in your books, things that could perhaps, when in the context of time, be discussed in a critical way, but when you're so then, like, vocal, like, anti-trans and anti, like, basically just, like, everything, it's just like, no.
Yeah,
it's just
no,
like, no.
Sure.
It's just like, no, there's no forgiveness to be had here, and it's annoying. But yeah, what do you do?
Yeah, you just vibe.
Because what I will say is quite funny is my local Waterstone. So my local Waterstones is in a town which is very, like, well, it's not, like, very progressive, like, based on how they vote, but, like, in general, they always host, like, really cool prides and stuff. And the Waterstones for Pride, and is this still up? Like, it hasn't been taken down. Where Harry Potter is, like, Harry Potter has its own small little, like, section, because obviously it's quite, like you said, there's lots of editions and stuff, and they've got, like, the new, like, picture books and stuff out. It's covered by a pride flag, like an all-inclusive pride flag, and it still is covered. Nice. And I'm like, they knew what they were doing. I was like, I wonder how long it's going to stay up for, because it's still up now, and Pride was a while ago, so I'm like, I like that. I was like, I like that. Great. It's like, I appreciate that. They knew what they were doing. But it's crazy.
Yeah, it's sad.
It is. It's like, for example, the other author, like, I've never read any of her books. I've just heard discourse. But, like, Colleen Hoover is, like...
I knew you were gonna say that! I refuse to read any of her stuff.
Listen, there's just something awry with the themes that she writes about. And I'm like, yes. No.
Actually, my sister and I... So my sister is 14. So I screen a lot of her books still, too, because sometimes she'll be like, have you read this? Like... And I screen a lot of her TV as well. But, like, I was over at my parents' house, and I was looking at her bookshelf, and she had, It Ends With Us by Colleen Hoover, and I was like, have you read that one? And she's like, no, I really wanted it, and I got it as a gift, and then I actually read what it, like more of the plot summary and decided I probably shouldn't read that. And I was like, yeah, don't read that one, bestie.
Yeah, no. It's one of those things where, like, I watched a really good video essay on it. Like, this like, YouTuber, who's, like, a book reviewer, and they were talking about they've like been like the #1 Colleen Hoover hater, like to the point where she even called him out, which I think is very funny. But like what he was saying was very like true. It's like it's important to have discussions about what she is writing about, because there are correct ways and wrong ways to write about the things. Yes. The problem is like, I'll give her credit in instances where she has been called out on something, she has gone back and retroactively fixed them. We like that. We like to hear growth. There was an instance where like something was cut from a book, like a line that basically was cut by an editor that she didn't realize had been cut, and it provided context to a situation regarding consent, and obviously that's very problematic. So that was then retroactively fixed, unless you have like the first or second edition of the book. So I'm like, good for you. But there's other moments and I'm like, no, like. But it's at the same time, it's like so many people enjoy these books, but it's like you don't want to hate on, like, there's such a common trend on hating on things that women like and girls like, to the point where you're like, you don't want to join the crowd, but you also want to be like, hey, let's be aware that abuse stories aren't cute and shouldn't be done cute and shouldn't be made into some romance plot. Like, it's not cute. It's not cute. No. Neither is underage. Full stop. No. Like, there we go.
Which, like, when you think about it, going back to ACOTAR.
Oh, yeah. That's what I mean. Like, there is right ways and wrong ways to do it, and there's a really fine line of doing it. And it's hard to determine where that is crossed, because it does become very blurry.
Yes.
Because, again, like, with ACOTAR, it's difficult because it's a fantasy world. Like, it's not steeped in real-world beliefs and knowledge. So, like, the angle you come at it has to be hard, but you can't lie that it's questionable behavior. Like, yes. For what we take it into context. That's why it's so tricky, because you're like, I don't know. Like, I don't have the brain power to do that.
That's also why, like, I think, you know, thinking critically about what you read and consume is important, but I also think that if we were to think critically about everything...
Oh, you'd be...
Literally, you couldn't read or watch anything.
Oh, God,
so it's like, you know, kind of go with what your comfort level is.
Yeah.
And know what your boundaries are when it comes to, you know, what you will and will not read. But yeah, I agree. Unless something is, like, super inherently problematic, let people vibe. However, I don't understand the Colleen Hoover hype.
I don't either.
I will never read any of her stuff. I'm never even going to give her a chance. I have zero... I'm also not a big romance person.
No, exactly, yeah.
If romance is in books, that's fine, but I do not go out of my way to read strictly romance genres. Same. If that's what you like, great. Have at you, you know. But there's a fine line between thinking critically and just, like, overdoing it.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like... that you have to be careful, because like I said before, like, I'm very particular with books that I read and buy. There's many reasons for that, but personally, like, I know what I like, and I'm like actively trying to expand my reading genres. Like I said, like, I'm reading my classic literatures. I've actually dipped into romance. My friend who's like very big on romance has recommended me a few books that like aren't full on romance, but it is still integral to the plot, and I'm planning on giving those a try, because I think I'd like to expand that area of like my reading. And if I don't like it, I don't like it. Who cares? Like, it's not the end of the world. But the problem is as well, it's like I look at things and I will extend, like, before I even think about putting a book on my TBR, especially now, I'm like looking at what Book Talk says, which I know is like a whole can of worms. But like, you know, at least you have people in there who are like willing to be very honest, as diverse as they could be. And like, I look on like Storygraph and I kind of have a little bit of a look and see like, okay, is this average reviews? Like, obviously, I'm like, I don't really care about reviews because everyone's different. But like, things like Yellowface has received very good reviews from people that I respect within the book reviewing community. And I'm like, okay, and I had a little read of it and I was like, this could be something that I am interested in. But I'm going to sit on it for a while and wait for other people that I might know who read it before I'm like, yes, for sure, gonna buy the book. Like, it's on my TBR, but I haven't brought it yet. I'm like, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. There's some things that I'm like, no, this is immediate, like, I want to read it. Like, Shadow and Bone and Six and Crows, I'm like, this is up my alley. Like, I don't even need any other opinion. But other things I'm like, I need opinions on. Because I don't have the money to waste.
That's why I really love using the Libby app. It sometimes takes me longer to read things, but I really love using that because then, like, if I really like a book, I will buy it.
Yes.
But I like being able to rent it from the library first to see. Because, like, books are expensive. And especially if you don't like a book, there's nothing worse than buying a book, reading it, and not liking it. Because you're like, I don't even want this on my shelf now.
Yeah, like, the thing is with my library's very small. Like, I am on it. Like, I've got a few books that are waitlisted, but obviously, like, they only have, like, 1 or maybe 2 copies of very, like, popular books. So it's, like, a very long waitlist, which is fine. Like, I'm happy to wait. But it's like at the same time, I'm like, a lot of the things that I have to wait and buy, which is fine. But like the books that I like, if you don't do this, I would recommend it. But Storygraph has a feature where you can enter giveaways. I have been entering, like, aside from ones that are like very much not on my alley, because there are ones and I'm like, I don't want to read a book about this man who's like half beast on a cover. That's like not my vibe. But I've been entering like every other giveaway, and I've won quite a few books from there. And there's only been one book where I'm like, meh, it was a fine, but like it wasn't really, I still enjoyed it, but it wasn't like good. But every other book that I've like won on there, whether it be an audiobook or an ebook, I've really enjoyed. And I'm like, that's a really good way. If your library's a little bit wonky, not as strong, which again, go to your libraries, support your libraries. They're very important places of infrastructure. But if your library doesn't necessarily have the resources that you want, that's another step. Because it's great. And if you can, invest in Audible as well. Like, this is not sponsored, but Audible is great to get audiobooks if you're hesitant on buying physical copies and you want to rent stuff, you want to listen. Like, I don't use Audible, but I did use it like a lot in college. Cool.
I cannot do audiobooks. I wish I could, but I can't.
See, I can, like, but I multitask when I do it, which is not obviously very useful to tuning in. But there are some books where, like, I listen to The Great Gatsby as an audiobook. Don't do that. You cannot keep up with what's going on. There are too many characters. It's all about gossip. It's a nightmare. You need to read a book like that. But then I listened to Dracula, 10 out of 10. One of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. They put on voices. The Dracula was so camp. It was brilliant. So it just depends, I think, as well. It depends who's reading it and what the book is. It's very hit and miss.
It's the same reason, and this is so, like, ironic considering we're doing a podcast. I struggle to listen to podcasts because I can't just sit there and listen. Yeah. But then if I do something, I'm likely to get distracted, and I can't, like, focus on the podcast or the audiobook anymore. So it's like, it's one thing I can't do. I was very, not like anti-ebooks, but I couldn't do ebooks for a really long time, and now I love ebooks. Yeah. So it might be something that, like, I get to a point that I can, but I know, like, a lot of people listen to audiobooks on, like, commutes. I don't have a commute. I work from home, and even when I was working in office, the office is 7 minutes away from my house. Like, I don't have a drive to listen to it.
That's when I listen to my audiobooks in the bath. Because that's useful. But, like, I listen to it when I crochet, because that's something that I can do quite absentmindedly and can still focus on. But also, when I used to commute to university and to college, I would listen to them. Because the tube is hella loud. So, whacking on someone's audiobook is quite thrilling. But yeah, it's definitely weird. I know people who, like, what was I doing? Oh, basically, I saw this thing on TikTok, like, I'm sure you've heard of it, like people doing like a 24-hour readathon. And then I was really confused. Yeah. I was really intrigued. So I went on YouTube and I like watched one of the videos because I like wanted to see what they were reading because I was just being nosy. And I was just like bored. And this person was reading a book, reading a physical book, reading an ebook, and listening to an audiobook. And I was like, how do you know what's going on? How do you know what's going on? Like, obviously not all at the same time, but like... Oh! But like, I was like, still, how do you keep up with 3 different books?
Yeah. And it's hard. I'm trying to juggle a couple right now, and it's hard.
Because also, I think as well, she mentioned that she had an audiobook for the physical book she was reading, and she was listening to the audiobook and reading the book at the same time. And I was like, what are you doing?
Why?
I don't know.
I don't get that.
No, I was so confused. I was like, I don't really get it. But I was like, okay. It was very strange. And I was like, I mean, if it works for you, I guess, but it doesn't work for me.
Know what I don't understand about book talk? People who are like, I read 50 books last month. And I'm like, literally how?
Oh, no. Because they do it for their job, though, don't they? Like, if you're a book talker, you, like, that's all you do. And I'm like, I wish.
But, like, even... But also,
how.
Even if it, like, if you're doing it for content, like, and that is your job. I love reading, but, like, after a few hours, you need a break.
But it's also like, how do you have that many books?
How are you doing? Right? Well, they probably get sent a lot of books.
Yeah, but read. Still. But, like, that is intense. Because, like, that's what I mean. Like, I typically read... I do, like, an hour of reading before bed. Like, that's what I do. Like, sometimes I read during the day, but if I do read, it's definitely at night before bed. Like, I do my skincare routine, and then I'll read, and I'll go to bed. Like, that is my routine that I have. And, like, occasionally, again, like I said, like, I'll read during the day. But, like, it's not necessarily a goal of mine to do that. Because I know I have reading time. That sounds like I'm a child, but I have allotted reading time for an hour. But, like, yeah, like, when was it? I was like, when I was in Wales, I was reading on the beach, which was so cool. I was like, damn, this is the life I should be living. And I read for like 2 hours, and I was like, I can't read anymore. Not because like I was bored. I was really enjoying the book, but I was like, I can't stare at words any longer before I like lose my mind.
Yes.
I was like, I just need to get up and walk. Enjoy the beach air.
Exactly. I have maybe, like, if I read, it's usually like, I will read a chapter before bed. That's all I have these days.
Yeah, I used to really, like, it's also hard as well, because, like, when I was, like, less so during my masters, funnily enough, despite it was more work, but during my undergrad, I could not fathom picking up any book, because I was reading so many textbooks, to the point where I was like, I can't look at any of the words, because it will, like, do my nut in. And then it wasn't until, like, recently where I was actually able to start reading properly again. Because I was like, I can actually sit down and read, like, 10 pages and not want to, like, lose my mind. But before then, I was like, no. But, yeah. It's intense. Because also, as well, what is it that I want to read? There's a book I want to read. Oh, and I don't know why I want to read this. Because I've heard it's absolutely soul-destroying. But I'm like, that's exciting to me. Anyway. It's called A Little Life. And apparently it's one of the most, like, soul-destroying books ever. And it's also, like, 800 pages long. And I was like, why would I do that to myself? But I'm like, oh well, in for the long ride, I guess. Ready to cry for 800 pages, but that's just the way it be.
Sometimes you need a good cry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's therapeutic.
But otherwise, my TBR is such a mess. Like, I have all the Heroes of Olympus stuff on there. I have The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I still haven't read that, which I know is a sin. But
okay, I know that is also problematic.
Yes,
but like, such a good book.
I know. I'm waiting for that to be available in my library. So I'm also waiting for Red, White, and Royal Blue to be available in my library, because I haven't watched
I'm sorry, I can't read it. I can't.
No. Okay, listen. I was so adamant. I don't know if I told you this before. It might have been someone else, but I was like, I'm never gonna read that book because I just can't get out of my mind that it's fan fiction. Like, I just can't. Like, you can't attach it, right? But then obviously the movies come out and the movie looks so good, and I'm like, I can't watch the movie without reading the book, because I know the book, obviously the movie doesn't cover everything, and I'm like, so I'm like, I kind of need to read it.
Yes, for the record, I have nothing against the book.
No.
I'm sure it's lovely. The reason I can't read it is because I know that it's a fan fiction, and especially given who it's supposed to be based on, I simply I can't take it seriously. I'm sure it's a lovely book.
Yeah, I'm gonna read it. It's on hold in my library. I will report back. Maybe we'll do a whole episode of my review of Red, White, and Royal Blue. As someone who like actively reads fanfiction, I'm really curious to see how the writing style is. Like, I'm really curious to see if it's still in line or how much it's been edited. But then I have The Song of Achilles, because I haven't read that yet either, because I just haven't. And then I have The Secret History, which again, like, it's one of those books where everyone talks about it, and I'm like, bro, it seems so intense, but I'm like, I need to read it. If We Were Villains, Tomorrow, and Tomorrow. Apparently that's meant to be like a stunning book. I'm like, I'm excited to read that. And
also
then
on my TBR.
I've got loads of books on my Kindle. Yeah, I've got loads of books on my Kindle, and I can't even, like, my Kindle's on charge, so I can't even tell you what they are, but there's lots of books on there.
So, I mean, there's my physical TBR.
That's what I mean.
Literally, I have the books, I'm staring at them, and then there's also, like, I will see a book on, like, Book Talk and be like, that sounds good, and put it on my to-read pile on Storygraph. So, like, there's my, I actually have this and will read it, and then there's my, maybe someday I will, like, rent this or buy this.
Yeah, because I one of the people that I met when I was in Australia, like, he was like reading The Fourth Wing, and he's like, you should read The Fourth Wing, and I'm like, bro, I can't afford to get invested in another series. It's like 500 pages long per book.
I also, like, I really hate reading unfinished fantasy series.
That's the thing as well. I'm like, what if it doesn't get
Because,
finished?
like, I know there's going to be another ACOTAR book, and I'm like, bestie, I'm not going to remember anything that happens.
No, I know, and that's the really frustrating thing, because it's like, so this is like wild, right? So I should not have been reading this book. This is why you should screen books for children. So I was a very avid reader when I was a kid. So I don't know if this was only a thing that's done in the UK. I'm not sure. I know it's done in other schools, but basically we would have this thing, and you'd be put in primary school. You'd be put into reading bands, so you would only be able to read from books that match the colour of the reading level you were in. So it went from, like, white to gold or whatever, and, like, they had loads of books in there. And then in secondary school, we had this thing where you would read books, and then you would take quizzes on the books, and it would give you points for how many of the answers you got right. So you actually had to read the book to answer the questions, and then you got entered into, like, prizes and stuff like that. So I would read a lot of books, not only for the incentive, but because I also just really enjoyed it, because we had a school library, so it was easy. I read this series of books, and at the time, I think only two or three of the 5 books were out. I read this series called Noughts and Crosses. It's, I think 2 years ago, was turned into, like, a show. And it's about black and white people, and if the roles were reversed, and you have a black woman, like, girl, she's like a teenager, as the lead, and then you have the white boy who's like her love interest as the other main character, and it switches perspectives. It's very... I need to reread it because I haven't read it since I was like 12, so, you know, but it's a very, for its time as well, when it came out, like 2010, very, like, you know, on in its time, but, like, I read the summaries of the books because I got the 3rd and 4th and the 5th book because I only had the first 2 from when I was a kid. And I wanted to get the whole collection, and I was like reading the back of them, and I was like, what on earth? And I read through the plot summaries, and I was like, why was I reading this when I was like 12? There's like police brutality, there's like sex trafficking, there's like abuse rings, obviously there's racism. I'm like, what was I doing? Who allowed me to read this? Why was this a thing that I could read at school on a quiz thing? Like, why was I able... I was like, surely someone should have intervened here. How was that allowed? Because there were certain books, obviously, that weren't on the quiz thing. I'm like, how was that allowed?
It's not only that, but, like, we grew up in such, like, with the age of the internet, like, I grew up reading fan fiction.
Oh, yeah.
That I should not have read.
Oh, no.
Like, no, okay, this is going to be probably the deepest admission I ever do on this podcast. I read After, when it was the Harry Styles fan fiction.
Stop it. That's
I read the original on Wattpad.
That's a claim to fame right there.
That also just aged me so much.
That's crazy.
But yeah, I read the original.
No, honestly.
Like, why was I reading that? Like, that? No.
No, that's the funniest thing, right? I think I thought about this a lot, where I was like, this is such a weird thought, but I was like, there's probably, because, like, this is becoming a thing where, like, publishers are actually looking to fanfiction sites, like Wattpad more so than AO3, which I think is kind of weird, because I'm like, Wattpad is not on the same level. No offense to people who write on Wattpad, but it's just not the same level as AO3. It's not, like, done the same, because there's a vetting process to AO3, as light as you would call it. But anyway, like, they're actually looking, and there's been a lot of people who have got, like, they're now, like, the Wattpad awards and stuff, and you can get your books published, which is, like, crazy. It's awesome to encourage people to write. I think it's amazing. But I'm, like, wondering, like, how many fanfictions I read when I was, like, a kid, and still now, that have been turned inadvertently into books that I may have read and not realised, or, like, would come out, and I'll read them and be like, wait a second, I know this plot. Like, how crazy would that be?
I mean, some of them are so obvious, though. Like, what is it, the love hypothesis?
Sure. Oh, yeah, no, that is obvious. Like, even the book art is obvious. I'm like, boy, who are you trying to fool?
How do they get away with that?
Because it's not, it's legally distinct enough. That's how.
I know, but
they don't use the same names and anything. Because it doesn't mean anything, I guess.
So obvious.
I know, it's so sus.
But yeah, I'm, like, looking at my TBR. Like, so I have... I made the mistake of signing up for Book of the Month, and I have 11 books just from Book of the Month that I need to read.
Oh, yikes.
Yeah. But then I also have, so, like, I have those. I have the rest of Heroes of Olympus. I'm reading Mark of Athena right now, so I've got that one. I've got the next two. I was gifted a book from my friend Mooney, so I have that to read. I reread Hunger Games, and I want to read Catching Fire and Mockingjay. I'm, like, looking at my bookshelf right now to be like, what do I need to read?
I know, honestly, it's crazy. And it's also as well, like you said, like, there's so many more books coming out, and, like, it just pushes things further down the line. And I'm like, I need to just actually stake my claim and be like, no, I need to just read what I have, because it's a nightmare.
Yes, pretty much. That's what I'm, like, trying to do. But, like I said, I got the first Crescent City book from the library because it just became available, and then Foxglove came out, so. But, I mean, I own Foxglove, so I can read that whenever. However, because it's a second book in the series, I know if I don't read that one soon, I'm not going to remember what happened in Belladonna, because I already barely remember what happened. So, like,
yeah,
I gotta jump into that one soon.
That's also the thing with series, is like, once you commit yourself, you have to then finish it all. That's it. Like,
yes. To be fair, I knew Belladonna was going to be a series, but when she first wrote it, it was not planned to be a series, ironically enough. And then she ended up picking it up and doing a second book. And apparently there's going to be a third book now, because when I was like, I was trying to find the physical copies with the pretty covers, and there's apparently a third book out there that's going to be called Wisteria.
Ooh.
So, fascinating. Here's the thing. This might be an unpopular opinion, but much like TV shows, most things do not need to be a series.
No, I agree.
Because most of the time, the story is not well fleshed out enough to span multiple books. I would say trilogies are okay. Duologies can be great, but a lot of times, standalone is better.
I could probably name,
because, like, I look at ACOTAR. I'm sorry, ACOTAR's too many damn books, and the fact that there's gonna be more.
ACOTAR,
and they're all basically the same plot when you think about it.
ACOTAR could be 3 books, 1 for each sister. Done.
Yes, they're all basically the same plot when you think about it. Like,
yeah. No, I agree. Like, because for me personally, 2 and 4 felt like filler books. 1, 3, and 5 were, like, actually plot, which is fine. Like, again, like, okay, I still enjoyed reading them all, but I definitely think it could be short. There, I could probably name on one hand books that warrant a series. Like, things like Maze Runner, yes, good series. Hunger Games, good series. Harry Potter, yes, good series. Like, good series in nature of, like, it perhaps could have been 1 book shorter, but other than that,
yes,
kind of needed to have each school year, so I get it. But, like, Percy Jackson, I could argue, yes, again, because you have, like, the different stages, but perhaps could have been shorter. There was a bit of exposition that perhaps wasn't needed, but again, not really any complaints. But Shadow and Bone easily could have been a book. 1 book. I know, that's a hot take. Easily could have been 1 book. I get why it's 3. It makes sense that it's 3. Could have been a lot more condensed and concise if she wanted to be. No complaints of it being a trilogy. Could not have been.
I will say, as much as I love the Folk of Air series, could have been a duology.
Yeah, there's a lot, and again, like, this isn't saying, like, it's a weird thing where it's like, there's sometimes where I'm like, this seriously needed to be shorter because it makes no difference if you cut out a whole book or a whole 200 pages. And there are some books where it's like, realistically, you could make it a little bit more concise, but otherwise it's not really that big of a deal. Like, it's fine, but, like, could have done with maybe having a little bit of less pages, but there are some and I'm like, you did not need this. Like, ACOTAR especially, I think, there's a lot in it where I'm just like, no, this isn't needed. I don't need to know this. There's no payoff to it. And that's not a criticism of the writing, because, like, again, when you have a universe that big, kind of hard, so I get it. Yeah. But there's some things I'm like, this never pays off. What's the point? There's whole unwrapped storylines in ACOTAR, obviously for future books, but it's, like, unnecessary. I'm like, this could be tied up. And you have chosen not to.
Yeah, like, there's a book series that I have not finished the series. I own all 3 of them. But the first book is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Which is actually being adapted into a TV show, which I'm quite excited to watch the TV show, don't get me wrong. However, again, age gap, it's like, that's a real fine line there.
Yeah.
Anyway, so have you read them?
No, but my brother has them, so I'm going to read them.
read the first one, really, really enjoyed it, which is why I own all 3, because I bought the other 2. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to read all of them. Let's go. Read the second book, and I was like, okay, sure. I still haven't read the third book, because by the time we got to the end of the second one, I just didn't, first off, I didn't care anymore. It also became unbelievable at that point. Like, there are things that can happen that I'm like, sure, okay. But it gets to a point where, like, it doesn't become believable anymore.
Yeah, there is...
Especially in non-fantasy books, because that is a, like, murder mystery thriller book. In fantasy, there's a lot you can excuse and write off. In real-world situations, I'm like, I'm sorry, this is no longer realistic to me. They're still great books, and I really enjoyed them. And like I said, I'm super excited for the TV show. I will definitely watch it when it comes out. But I stopped caring after book 2.
It's definitely hard because, like, again, like, I have dabbled in my writing, but I've never, like, thought out and written a book, obviously. So it's hard. But there is an element of, like, you have to sometimes you just don't need to say things that you think you need to say. Where it's like, because I experienced this quite a lot when I was reading, what was I recently, let me go through what I've recently read. There was a book that I recently read, and I was like, for example, Lord of the Rings tells you everything, but that's the way that Tolkien writes. So, as frustrating as that is, it's fine, because, like, that's just how he writes, but it is kind of annoying that we spend
that's why
a chapter and a half Tolkien. That's why we spent a whole chapter and a half describing tree bark, and I was literally going to drive myself up the wall. I was like, please get to the plot.
I can't do it. I read The Hobbit in 5th grade, and I can't.
No, I really enjoyed them, but oh my days, is that hard. But, like, that's what I mean. Like, there's sometimes where I've read, I can't remember what it was now. I'm scrolling back through. Oh, okay, a book called A Fatal Crossing. I really enjoyed this book. It was, like, it's like a murder mystery that happens on a cruise, and you get to solve it real time with the detective. I thought it was super fun. It's super quirky. I'm sure there's loads of books like it, but I like the setting, and it was good fun. I enjoyed it. There was a lot of times where this author would just tell you too much information, and I know it's a murder mystery, but I'm like, I do not need to know how all these tables are laid out in the dining room. It's not important to the plot. Like, I don't care. Like, don't tell me the dining room layout, because it's not important. No crime has happened here. So it's something you just don't need to say.
I'm not going to remember it anyway, so what is the point of you telling me?
Because this is like I said, that book was fine. I really enjoyed it, but there were certain things where I'm like, you're just telling me, not showing me. Like, you don't need to tell me this. I could figure this out, but now you're just implicitly being like, hey, by the way, did you realise that this person is related to this person? And I'm like, yeah, I figured that out, but thank you for wasting a sentence, I guess. It's like, it's not that big of a deal, but it's like, low-key, a pet peeve, because I'm like, but why? But why, though?
Yeah.
It's like,
no,
dumb.
That's fair.
But hey, yeah. I've got so many books to read and I'm like stressed. I've like kept flicking through my story graph and I'm like, oh my god.
I know.
Oopsies.
So, I just want to throw out there a few books that I have read that I absolutely loved, as just like a, hey, I read these if you maybe were thinking about reading them or you weren't sure. These are some ones that I loved. First off, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Again, no, that one is a little bit problematic. However, it was a really great book to read. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, which I also know is quite controversial on Book Talk, not because there's anything wrong with it, but I feel like that is one of those books that people either love it or hate it. Personally, loved it. It is really long, and I will say that there is probably some stuff that could have been cut. However, it is so fascinating, and I hadn't read anything quite like it before. So it was very good. It gave me kind of like Age of Adeline vibes as well, which I love that movie. So, there was that. Let's see. I'm going through my red pile on Storygraph. If you want to just like read a book that is an absolute mindfuck, and I actually still don't know if I liked this book, read The Library at Mount Char.
Ooh.
It was the most wild thing I've ever read. And again, I cannot tell you if I actually liked that book because it was just odd.
Sometimes it's the best kind of book where you're like, I don't really know how I feel.
it was just so interesting. It's apparently categorized as fiction, fantasy, horror, which yeah, that's accurate. I don't know. That one was wild. In the nonfiction category, one of the only nonfiction books I've ever read, I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy.
Oh,
is
yes.
a fantastic memoir. If you are going to read any, like, autobiographical type book, I recommend that one. It's very, triggering, though. So just go into it knowing that there's some very, very heavy topics that are discussed. Because you like thrillers, if you haven't read The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle,
I have not.
that one was good. Really enjoyed that.
I'm trying to think of.
And then I think that's about it, because I've talked about the other ones. Obviously, I love the Folk of Air series. Yeah, I'll share other ones that pop up as I read them, because I have such a long
that's what I'm just going to
TBR.
But yeah, Red Shirts is definitely one of the books I would recommend to most people. If you don't know what Red Shirt is, it's the people in Star Trek that die all the time, like they're expendables, but it's like their stories of like of them being on the ship where they know that they're basically going to die. It's very interesting. It's a really good discussion of sci-fi, but it's like still steeped in like real world, like obviously it's elevated fantasy kind of, but it's deals with real world like issues, which is quite cool. The Picture of Dorian Gray, if you're looking to get into classics, that one's a very good one. I very much like it. Very cool. A lot of queer subtext that I think is so relevant, and it's so beautifully written that it's not like shoving it in your face. Not that that's a bad thing, but given the time period, like there's so many ways you can read it. Some people read it as very platonic, some people read it very narcissistic, some people read it very queer, some people read it all as one collection of all of that. So very, very interesting. And if you like Star Wars, it's a very specific recommendation, but Brotherhood, which is the Anakin Obi-Wan story, is chef's kiss. I cried so much during that book, but it is stunning. It is stunningly written. And I've got so many other ones that I'm scrolling back through. I'm like, oh no. Mindhunter by John Douglas. If you like crime, especially true crime, he was the FBI and the Bureau's first ever criminal profiler, so he profiled a lot of the big serial killers and does interviews with them. So the book has his life story, so it's like him as an agent, but also who he interviewed. So he did like Son of Sam and that lot. So, and it's very dark, but it's very interesting. And he's got like a whole.
Is that what... They made that into a Netflix series, right?
Yeah, that's what Jonathan Groff's
Okay.
on. It's based on the book, yeah. So he's got a second book as well called Journey into Darkness. So it's very good. It's very it is hard to read because obviously it's real life and he's telling it from a very like I wouldn't say medically standpoint, but he's saying it very like cut and dry because that's just how he was viewing things. But it's very fascinating if you're interested in that sphere. I've like reached like a point where like none of the covers are loading. Just scrolled so far back. I'm like, oh my god, I read so many bookies. What other ones? I don't think I have any other ones. Oh, another true. Well, it's not actually true crime. It's actually fake crime, but it's like the Blair Witch Project. That were like it's based on a true story. It's actually not based on a true story, but it leads you to believe it. But it's called 6 Stories. It's actually a series, but this is the first book. By Matt Wolowski. I don't know how you pronounce his last name. I apologize. But it's told as if the author is a podcast host of a podcast called 6 Stories, where he revisits unsolved crimes and then gets 6 people's points of view who were related to the crime, and then retells it, and then kind of it still remains unsolved, but the idea is like you can kind of piece together what you think. So it's very fascinating because it's like, again, it's a lot of showing, not telling, but you have like interview transcripts and stuff, and you can kind of piece together what happened and who you think is lying, who you don't think is lying. And it's really interesting that it's told like via a podcast. Like obviously it's written, but it's told via a podcast, which is super cool. I thought it was very fascinating.
I just added that to my TBR because that sounds amazing.
Oh, it's super cool. I've read, yeah, so he's got 6 stories, which I've read. I've read Hydra and Changeling. So I've read the first 3, but he's got 3 others that I haven't read yet. But they are so fascinating because they all tell different stories. And it's super cool. Super cool.
Nice.
I think those are all my recommendations.
Nice. Well, we will definitely do more reading.
Yes.
I think it would be really cool. I know it's September and the end of the year is not that far away, but like Storygraph always does like a little wrap up.
Yeah, we can do that
at the end of the year. So I think it'd be fun to kind of to go back and visit and share some of like our statistics and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So we will be back with more reading episodes for sure, because we are always reading and always looking for new things to read. And especially if we do the buddy read of Little Women, I think that'd be
cool.
Awesome to,
we could do a whole episode on that.
Yes.
Because I have lots to say.
I actually have read Little Women, to be fair. I read it when I was younger, but it was so long ago.
I've never read it. I've watched the movie of it, but I've never read it.
I've actually not... This is probably a crime. I have not seen the Greta Gerwig version of Little Women.
It's very good. It's very good.
I want to watch it. It's one of those things, though, that, like... So I rarely watch movies by myself.
Yeah.
I don't really have time to, also, to be fair. Like, there's rarely a time that, like, I am by myself for hours where I'm like, yeah, let me watch a movie. And yes, I know I was on maternity leave. But it's actually so much harder to watch TV or movies when you have a baby. Like, it's so much harder than you think it is. I thought I was going to power through so much TV. But, like, I would try and watch something and I would constantly have to pause it so that way I could tend to the baby. So, it's not as easy as I would like it to be. I would like to watch it. I think that's one I want to watch with my sister, because we actually went to see Little Women the musical together at a local theater production.
It's I mean, Greta Gerwig knows what she's doing. It was stunning. I cried a lot. It's so well done, and the casting is absolutely spot on. As I know that's why people were like, Timothée Chalamet shouldn't have been Laurie. No, I disagree. I think he nailed the role. I think they all nailed what they were doing. 10 out of 10.
Yes. So I read that when I was younger. I also, another one that I read when I was younger that I'd like to revisit is Anne of Green Gables.
Yes, that's on my list too.
And I know that also is a Netflix series that I did not watch.
Yeah. I haven't watched
it. It looks wonderful though.
It looks really sweet. Yeah, there's a special edition of the book and it's stunning and it's like embellished with like silver foiling and I'm like, yeah, it's mine.
All I want in life is to own pretty books.
Yeah.
Is that so much to ask?
If you own 1,000 books, you officially become a library. That's my goal. I now have decided that I want to become a library.
Well, now I need to become a library. How many? I don't even know how many books I own is the thing. I don't think it's that many. But also it's funny because I got a new bookshelf around Christmas time last year and I already need a bigger bookshelf.
Oh yeah, same. I need a big bookshelf. My bookshelf is already...
Which is fine because, well, okay, to be fair, we're eventually going to get another house and I would like to have like either built-ins or like more concrete.
Yes, that's like, kind of what I want as well.
But it actually kind of works out that I need a new bookshelf because Kyle and I have also recently gotten into Legos.
Perfect.
And part of the reason that we said we would not get into Legos is because we do not have space to present, like, have them once we're done with them. But we've both recently gotten into Legos, so now we need space to put the Legos. So we'll put my current bookshelf downstairs, and I get a bigger one, which I found this one, it's on Amazon, and it's like a corner one.
Ooh.
And I really want it, because that feels fancy.
That does feel fancy, yeah. So I saw that, and I was like, oh my god. And I saw loads of people on Book Talk saying that they've officially become a library, and I'm like, that is so awesome. I want to be a library. That's my life goal now, so.
Okay. Tell me, after this episode, like when we're done recording, tell me how many books you have, and I will count how many books I have, and then we'll see how close we are to being libraries, and we'll share that information.
I'm well off. I don't have that many, because my bookshelf is quite small. But
still, I want to know, how close are we? We're gonna figure out the percentages. What percent of library are we? I'll share that when we post this episode.
Okay, that's a good plan, actually.
We can update people as we go too.
We'll provide updates. And we'll see how well that does. I'm sure we can make a fun graphic of our library somehow. We'll figure that out. And let us know how percent of library you are.
Yes, please do let us know.
Because I need to know. I found it fascinating.
Yes. All right. But we'd also love to hear from you all. What books are you reading or like recommend? I love hearing from other people books they've enjoyed. So please, go comment on our Instagram, message us on Instagram. We're also on Threads, or go find us on TikTok, any of our social medias. Go find us, recommend books, all that jazz.
Yar.
Okay, we'll see you in a couple weeks. Bye.
Bye. Hi guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode. I just wanted to tag on the end here that we have made a book talk channel called Floral and Fiction over on TikTok. So if you enjoyed today's episode of us talking about books and our recommendations, then feel free to give us a follow on there because we're planning on making lots of content on similar topics.
Thanks so much for listening. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. To stay connected with us, then follow us on social media, which are linked in the description. I've been Emily.
And I've been Scar.
Tune in next time for the best cottagecore podcast for the cottage whores.